Now, if you've been around church, you've said it 1,000 times. God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. No one ever really slows down enough to really ask the question, do we actually believe it? Because there's this massive contradiction sitting inside of Christianity. Out of one side of our mouth, we say stuff like, God is good. And then out of the other side of our mouth, we describe him using doctrines that, if we're honest, describe someone who is objectively not good at all. Violent, coercive, unpredictable, easily offended, obsessed with punishment, willing to torment people forever. At some point, you have to stop and ask, what do we even mean by the word good? Because biblically, good isn't thin. It isn't sentimental. It isn't just nice. The biblical framework for the word good comes from the ancient Hebrew word shalom. And shalom means healing. It means wholeness. It means restoration. Things being the way they were always meant to be. And that's why I want to announce something that will frame every sermon we do in 2026 at Grace Communion Grove City Church. The theme for the entire year is very simple. It's familiar, and honestly, it's a little dangerous. The title is simply, God is Good. And here's what's so wild. There's this powerful moment where Moses says to God, show me your glory. And you expect God to say, all right, brace yourself, and rolls up his sleeves and brings some thunder and some fire and lots of spectacle. But God says something to him that defies our expectation. He says, I'll make my goodness pass before you. God wasn't changing the subject. That is God redefining what glory even is. You think glory looks like power, but God says glory looks like goodness. And when God finally reveals himself fully, he doesn't show up wielding lightning bolts like Zeus. He shows up as Jesus. No domination, no intimidation, no fear-based control, just compassion, healing, forgiveness, restoration. That is shalom in motion. So here's what we're doing in 2026. Every month will be a new series, a new angle, a new lens, walking through the life of Christ to show us what God is really like. Because Jesus is not the exception to God. Jesus is the revelation of God. And if your version of God doesn't look anything like Jesus, doesn't bring shalom, doesn't restore what's broken, then the problem isn't that God isn't good. The problem is that you've been telling the wrong story about God. And in 2026, we're going to let Jesus tell us the truth and set the record straight. Because once you really see it, you cannot unsee it. And it changes everything.